Hi everyone, I have been thinking about doing some mixes with some particular of my inks just out of curiosity. Sometimes in my head I'll be like, oh, I wonder what would happen if I mix these colors, or I wanted to make this kind of color. What could I mix to accomplish that? And that is usually how my mixes are born. And I know that I did a mixing video once before and it was just kind of a disaster, I guess. Or at least very unprofessional. And this is not going to be much better than that, to be quite honest with you. So don't get your hopes up. But I did have a few ideas knocking around in my head, and I thought, why don't I just film it? So the first one that I had was Pilot Chicorin, which is this really pretty grassy green. I don't have a ton of it left, and when I did ink it up in a pen, I wasn't like over the moon about it, especially because I have a couple of other colors like this. And so I thought, what could I mix with this to make a different color? The other color that I have that I'm not like super in love with but wish I was is Celadon Cat. So I wanted to mix these two plus Ferris Wheel Press Cloak and Forest. And that's another thing that I usually do is I usually will want to mix a shimmer in with non-shimmers to make more shimmers because I love shimmer inks. Some of the other reasons why I may mix inks is because one feels really dry and I want to make it wetter, or one's too light, so I want to make it darker, which is kind of the case with the Celadon Cat. Yeah, so let's start with this one. So I am going to start with the Chicorin since I already have a vial of it here, and there's about, where are the little markers? I guess each one of these is a mil, so there's about 3/4 of a mil of Chicorin left. And because Chicorin is such a very light color, the thing about mixing light colors is that you have to add darker colors very carefully, very slowly, or else it'll just immediately be swallowed up by the dark color. It is hard to mix a lighter color when dark colors are involved. So anyways, here, let me scoot this down, and I'm going to just be using my little glass spoon. And the way that I typically mix is like I start with like 1 drop to 1 drop, and then I'll add more, and I just do it on the paper. I don't even use like a plate or anything like that. I should, because it's more exact, but I don't know. I'm just very unorganized like that, I suppose. Anyway, so we're gonna first lay down all the colors that we're gonna combine together. So this is Cloak and Forest. It's a very rich, deep teal. And then set this over here. We're gonna do Chicorin. Which is a very lovely color. But I have a couple of colors like this, like I said. And then I was gonna start with just mixing those two, but I do think that I do wanna add in some Celadon Cat, so we will add a drop of that as well. So those are the 3. So in this case, I'm actually going to mix in the Chicorin vial because it's already in a vial, but this is not how I normally do it. So I am going to take 1 drop of Cloak and Forest, which has shimmer, so I'm going to shake it up again because I do want to get some of that really pretty bluish shimmer in here. Or I think it's actually silver shimmer, but it just looks blue because of the ink. Okay, so I have my little blunt syringe there. And I'm just gonna take a teeny bit of that, and I'm literally just gonna do like 3 baby drops. Oh, okay, well, see? That was quite a big squirt, and that is why I'm not a professional. But we will start there and see how that goes. So I'm gonna cap this back up, and mix it around, and we can already see that this is now like a darker green. So let's sample that out. So that's what that looks like together, which is pretty, but I definitely want more of that Celadon Cat bluish greenish feel. So we're gonna put a lot of Celadon Cat in here now. This is also why I rarely ever know how to replicate my mixes, because I don't really measure them specifically. And when I do try to measure them, I end up putting a lot more of one in than I anticipated doing. So yeah, my mixes are usually one of a kind and not duplicatable unless I'm doing them on a larger scale and I know, okay, I did 1 ml of this, 2 ml of that, etc. So as of right now, it's still very much like the same level as it was when we first started. So I can't say that I really know those proportions very well. Okay, so we're getting our syringe again, which I just cleaned out in my water. And I'm probably gonna do 1 ml of this, if I could read, but yeah, I believe that that's about 1 ml. And let's mix that up. Oh no. Well, I lost the cap. Let me take one of these caps. It rolled under my couch. I'll get it later. Okay. So we're gonna mix this up. Got a lot of air bubbles in there. And you can see how like it immediately just turns so dark from that first little bit of Cloak and Forest. I did not really intend for it to get that dark. So this is already not going to plan, and that's often how it goes for me. It just doesn't always go to plan. Okay, so now we're getting back towards the lighter side of things, but it's still very green. So we're gonna add more Celadon Cat. And probably another ml. And I know that it probably seems like wasteful to use inks in this way. And I guess it could be, but I do tend to keep my mixes around for a while and use them. So, and also the Celadon Cat is not one that I really reach for a lot to use by itself, because I haven't found a good pen to use it in yet that doesn't feel too light. So yeah, I'll either keep this and use it, or I'll pass it along to a friend. And since this ink is not one that I'm really reaching for anyways, this feels like a better use of it than to just let it sit there on the shelf. So that was another ml. That's now 2 ml of Celadon Cat. And here's what it looks like. It really hasn't changed much. So yeah, you have to be so careful with dark inks, or else this is what happens. It's very hard to get them light again. So let's add 1 more ml of Celadon Cat and see if that really does anything. And that's gonna be our end product, whether it's what I wanted or not, because this is almost full. And that's okay too. Sometimes it just be that way. Most, if not like, yeah, I guess I would say most of my mixes don't go exactly how I thought they would in my head, just because I'm not really an expert at mixing colors, and I'm definitely not a professional ink maker. So, but I do end up with like some really cool ones sometimes that I did not even anticipate making because of that very reason. All right, so here is the finished product, which is now like 3 ml of Celadon Cat, about 3/4 of a ml of Chiku Rin, and a good squirt of Cloak and Forest. So it's now this green color. Now I'm still really not loving that. Like, I can't see this as a color that I'm like dying to use. So what I could do is take some of this out of here and just add in more Celadon Cat. I'll try that. This is literally how I do it though, so I'm not even trying to like make myself seem cool, because I don't know what I'm doing, and this is usually my process. So we'll do 1 more ml. Hopefully that changes it. And you can see like this bottle is still super full. So a little bit of ink goes a long way when you're making these. Okay. All right. So now I'm starting to see more of that blue peek through. It's an interesting color. I'm sure one day I will want to use this. So let's do mix of Celadon Cat, which it is primarily now, and it actually looks a little more blue in the writing than it does in the swatch. I don't know if you can tell that. Let me scoop this over here. Okay, mix of Celadon Cat, Chiku-Rin, and Cloak and Forest. Actually, I don't hate that. That's actually kind of a cool, interesting, muted green color in writing. I kind of like that. Okay, so that's that. One thing I almost never do, but I need to really start doing is labeling the vial. Now, while we're here, I'd like to just mix Celadon Cat and Cloak and Forest and see what I get there. And I'm just gonna do a very little bit of Cloak and Forest because we saw what just happened there. Let me clean out my syringe. Okay. So I'm gonna do probably 2 mils of Celadon Cat. And again, I'm just going to try to do a very tiny bit of Cloak and Forest. Hopefully I'll be able to be more controlled this time with it. Syringes are kind of difficult, and I should use a dropper because a syringe can feel like kind of stuck and then you push too hard and it all squirts out like what happened before. So that's another thing that I should be more aware of and mindful of. Okay, so I'm literally just taking up like a few drops. 1. Okay, so that was a tiny little squirt. Put the rest in the jar. And let's see, that won't lend very much shimmer to it, but kind of like the way that looks. This is actually kind of cool. That's a very muted grayish undertone green. All right. Here is Celadon Cat plus Cloak and Forest. And maybe it could even use a tiny bit more Cloak and Forest, although it is darker than the original Celadon Cat. Let's write with it first. Let's see if we like it in writing. Celadon Cat. And I personally have found Celadon Cat to be a bit dry. But Cloak and Forest is not, so that will also help like balance the dryness of Celadon Cat. I do like that. I am inclined to add just a tiny bit more of Cloak and Forest. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be so careful. Okay, so that was like literally 2 drops. My dog is licking his feet. He just looked at me when I said that. So pardon the noise if you can hear that. Okay. So here is the slightly darker version. Yeah, I like that. In fact, it kind of reminds me of Prussian blue, which I have over here to the side to use in a different mix. We'll compare it next to it. I often end up making inks that look like other inks I already have that are not a mix, so that's funny. Celadon, Cat, and Cloak, and Forest. Yeah, I like this. Now I wish I had a little bit of Chico Rin to put in there to make it more green, but that's okay. I could add a bit of the green mix to this, but I don't want to jumble them up too much right now. Okay, I like that one a lot. All right, now let's try a little bit of Prussian blue next to it. Oh no, this is actually a lot grayer. Oh yeah, see? My memory is not what I think it is. Okay, good. So I do really like this mixture here. That is quite nice. And then there is the first one, which is interesting. And both of them do have a little bit of shimmer, but because I only added such a very little bit of the Cloak and Forest, it's not a ton of shimmer by any means. Okay, let's now move over to the next mix, which is going to be two inks that are quite dark by themselves, and I just wanted to mix the color because I think it's going to match a pen that I have, and I just was thinking like, oh, I wonder what it would look like to mix these two inks. So that's what I'm going to try. It's a fun way to like use the inks that you have, and it's also a fun way to prevent yourself from buying more inks, because when you can take two inks and create something completely different, like you don't have the urge to go buy a brand new different ink. So, I mean, obviously you guys know that. So the first ink is Queenstown Goldmine by Van Diemen's, one of my very favorite inks. I haven't used this in so long, probably since last fall. My daughter loves to use this for mixing. It's like one of her favorite mixing inks. It's just a really gorgeous, like golden amber with a lot of shimmer. So that's it by itself. And then the other is Pilot Iroshizuku Yamabudo. And I just thought these probably would be so good together. But Yamabudo, I think, will have a tendency to overwhelm the Queenstown Goldmine. So this is another one where I have to be really careful of that. Also, I can never get this bottle open. It's like glued on. Hold on. Okay, I finally got the lid off. I had to use a rubber band around it to help like with friction. But anyways, gorgeous, beautiful Yamabudo. It's a favorite of many. So there we have that. Okay, so for this one, I'm just going to do it directly on the page. I'm going to do 1 drop of Yamabudo, which actually is just like 1 dunk into it, because you can see that I did more than 1 drop there. And then 1 drop of Queenstown Goldmine. And we're just going to mix and see how Yamabudo really like took over that. It's now more red. It's actually turning red, which makes sense. So which way do I want to go? Do I want to add now more Queenstown Goldmine? So there's 2 drops Queenstown Goldmine, and usually like I'll drag out the color to see like how it's actually looking there. That's very pretty, very autumnal. So yeah, we could go that way where we're making it more red, or we could go 1 drop Queenstown Goldmine, or 1 dip, I guess, and then do more Yamabudo. So there's, and I'm just rinsing and drying this in between dips into different bottles, but I probably could be more hygienic with this as well. So this is more like on the Yamabudo side with Queenstown Goldmine added, and this is more Queenstown Goldmine with Yamabudo added. The reason that I like to do it like on the paper like this is because if I like where it's going, I can add it to a vial and like keep going. Or if I'm just like, meh, it's okay, it's pretty, but like I don't know if I really want like a mixture of it to put in a pen, then I can just leave it on the page for reference and not waste any more of it by putting each one in a vial. So, what am I thinking here? I do like both. Look how much that Queen Sun Gold Mine is just like all gold when it's on its own. I don't know. Let's let that dry and see if I want to go further with that mix. So I'm going to close these bottles up for now and we'll do another mix in the meantime. Okay, the other thing I wanted to do was Birmingham Pen Company Petrified Wood plus, oh, where's the, hold on, it's over here, I think. Okay, plus Diamine Weeping Willow. This is from the Purple Ink Vent. This is going to be a really wet combo because I had added White Lightning to Weeping Willow, and then Birmingham Pen Company's inks are just really wet in general, but here is Weeping Willow, just to see that. A very pretty color. It took me a long time to warm up to that color, and I do like it, but I have found I've had a hard time finding pens that like make it look good just by itself. Okay, yeah, actually that might not work because those are very similar in colors. I had put these on, what kind of paper was it? I don't remember what notebook I was using, but they looked a lot different than this. On camera, they look a lot more similar. In person, this Petrified Wood has a very pink undertone to it, but I don't think those are different enough to want to add them together because what is that going to do? Maybe I could add a little drop of Queen Sound Gold Mine to Weeping Willow and see how that goes. So let's try that. We want more of the Weeping Willow. So I did 2 dips. And I'm just going to do a little, try and get like a little half dip of the Queen Sound Gold Mine. And yeah, see how that goes. It's immediately going to warm it up because that Queen Sound Gold Mine is very strong, but that's actually super pretty. I really like that. Ooh, I really like that. That's interesting. Okay, so now I want to go forward with this and put this in a vial. I like that a lot. I don't have much of Weeping Willow left, so I'm going to try and be careful with this, but I might end up buying a bottle of this, which is something that I never thought I would say, but look, I only have like half a thing left because I've done a lot of mixing with this, and I find this to be an excellent ink for mixing. It's light enough and it has a good like undertone to it that it's nice for mixing. Okay, so I'm gonna do probably 1 ml of this. I just don't want to waste it, so I'm not going to use too much, even though I'm pretty confident that I'm going to love this mixture. And that's the other thing too, is like if you really love a mixture, you kind of have to use a lot because how many fills in a pen can I get out of that? Not many, because I'm not going to put much of the Queen Sound Gold Mine in it. So yeah, let's see. I just want a little bit of this. So I'm doing like just that much. Hopefully you can tell. And that might even have been too much, but we'll see. So let's mix that and then we'll sample it out next to it. Yeah, basically. Actually, that's a little bit lighter than this was. Oh, I really like that. Oh, I like that so much. Okay, I'm really happy with that. But look, it only made that little tiny bit. So yeah, I can syringe this into some pens, but like if I even wanted to put this in a TWSBI, I wouldn't probably get that much if I did my TWSBI in there. You know what I'm saying? So it'll have to go in a pen with a converter, or I would have to make a mix using more. In fact, let's try doing one with petrified wood and Queenstown Gold Mine since, oh, look what I just did. Since I have a lot of petrified wood. Let's just compare. And I just got a new pack of vials, so I'm not really concerned about wasting vials right now. Okay. So we'll do about that much. Clean it out. And we'll shake this up again. I need to get more Queenstown Gold Mine because it really is such a gorgeous ink, and it's so good for mixing, like really so good. Okay, so I'm doing a little bit more this time because I added more of the other one, but not a ton more. So let's see how this goes. And I hope Queenstown Gold Mine doesn't get discontinued because I know Van Diemen's inks sometimes do. So let's just set that over here. Okay, so this is petrified wood. And let me put my lid on this other one before I create disaster. Okay. Now as they're drying, this looks more like this, but it's still a little bit lighter. So this is petrified wood and Queenstown Gold Mine, and that already looks so different because of the way petrified wood is. It's so interesting because on camera it looks very brown, and in person there is a definite pink undertone to that petrified wood, and it's always hard to capture on camera. So let's just do a little writing sample of this. BPC petrified wood plus Queenstown. Baxter, stop it. Gold Mine. That's very pretty. And let's do the other one. This one is Weeping Willow and Queenstown Gold Mine. I think I like this one better. Queenstown Gold Mine. Yeah, I definitely like that one better. I just like it better without that very pink undertone that you're getting from that. But they're very similar, to be fair. Like, they're very, very similar. Yay, I really like that mix. I am a fan. And now as for these ones up here, actually let us do a label on these really quick. So usually how I label these is I'll look for little box stickers in these books. Like so. And I will use my my permanent ink, and I'll do, shoot, which one was it? Oh yeah, it was this one. Okay. I normally do it before I put it on here because that's smart, but this is Diamine, Weeping Willow plus Queen's Gold. So that's very messy, but I will remember what that is. Okay. Yay. I love that. Okay. So yeah, going back to the original mixes we tried up here, I'm not like so enamored with either of them that I really want to make these into a mix. This one is very pretty. It's kind of like a blood kind of color, that reddish brown, and the shimmer's pretty, but yeah, I'm not like needing that to be in a bottle by itself. So we're going to leave those. I'm going to put this Atlas paper in here to kind of blot this ink. And then let's do our last mix. We'll do it on this side over here. Now this last mix, I wanted to do Prussian blue and combine it with both Snow Globe and Baltic Breeze from the black ink vent. I'm gonna do two combinations. So this plus this, and then this plus this, and see what I like better. Maybe this plus both, although I don't really think I'm gonna do it like that. Anyways, okay, let's do this. Let's clean this out. Okay, so we're gonna do Prussian blue. So first we're just gonna lay them all out on the page. Prussian blue is this very pretty, dusty, muted kind of blue. And then we'll do Baltic Breeze, which is a purpley blue-gray, I would say, with rose gold shimmer. It is very pretty. I haven't used it on its own yet. I feel like, oh, it's actually very kind of similar. It's like a lighter tone of Prussian blue in its base color. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know why I haven't really used it in a pen yet. I think I was under the impression that it would be kind of light in a pen, and I just wasn't really interested. But the Snow Globe, I love. Love, love, love. It's also a light blue, and it has like a multicolored, yeah, it's a chameleon shimmer. So this I have put in a pen in my Benu fine nib, and I loved it. It's gorgeous. Yeah, these are all so similar. So now the purpose of this mix for me was to get some shimmer in the Prussian blue, because they're not going to change each other's colors too much. So first let's start with Snow Globe. And I'm going to do just like probably 2 dips of Snow Globe to 1 dip of Prussian blue. Let's start there and see how that goes. Okay. So it made Snow Globe darker and probably like added a lot of purple to that Prussian blue. I don't really know what I'm talking about, you guys, to be quite honest with you. And then we're going to do the same thing for Baltic Breeze. We're going to do like 2 good dips. I also think Baltic Breeze is a little bit drier from when I've been swatching it out. It just seems that way. So this will help it. I'm going to do 1 dip of Prussian blue. So yeah, it actually just makes it like a little bit darker. It did not change the color of that very much. Let me add another bit of Prussian blue. I'm going into risky territory with my paper here. It's going to bleed through probably, but that's okay. Yeah, so did not really change any of them much. They still all look quite like themselves. Maybe we should add some Celadon Cat. Maybe we should add Celadon Cat and these together. I think that would be kind of cool. I do like the look of this one. Let's try Celadon Cat plus one of these. We'll do Celadon Cat and Snow Globe. So there's Celadon Cat by itself. Here is Celadon Cat that we're gonna mix. That's one good little spot, or one good little dip. And mix up Snow Globe again. And do one good dip as well. Okay, so that doesn't look much different from the original Snow Globe, so I'm going to do another dip of Celadon Cat. It is like seriously so hard to make inks lighter or to keep a light ink light. When you're mixing, you almost have to like mix with all light inks together. But I mean, it can be done. You just have to use large quantities of the light ink and very small quantities of the dark ink. I like that actually. That's pretty. So that's probably like 3 parts Celadon Cat and 1 part Snow Globe. So I'm not crazy about the Prussian blue with these two. I don't feel like it actually changed either of them, except for it maybe made the Snow Globe and the Baltic Breeze a little bit darker. I'm trying to show you the chameleon shimmer in the Snow Globe, but it's not really picking it up. So yeah, I'm not really thinking that I want to mix any of these in a vial. Now this, on the other hand, could be kind of cool. Let's see if I can write with this and drag it out to write with it with my dip pen here. It actually, the Snow Globe made the Celadon Cat feel a lot wetter. Plus Snow Globe. That's pretty. I just wish there was more of that green in there. Maybe we should do... I don't know. Should we do a mix? I'm not really like crazy about this type of color right now in general, so I kind of don't want to mix it and waste my inks. But that could be an interesting mix at some point in the future for me. So yeah, I think I'm done. I'm not really thinking I want to make a full vial of this. It's a pretty blue gray though. And yeah, these I wasn't floored by. So we have these 2 mixes now, which I really like this one. And this is growing on me. It'll be interesting to put that in a pen. And then I love this Diamond Weeping Willow and Queenstown Goldmine. That is a good one. So I'm excited to use that. So yeah, that's how I mix inks. Hopefully that was like a little bit more in depth of a process than my last video, but still not very good, and I'm very aware of that. So there are other great mixing videos. Micah from Cat Collage Club has one that she recently did, and then Karina Loves to Plan did one I think several months ago, but you can look up her. She does some really good mixing, and they both do it like the way you should do it, like with a palette, and then they're mixing like actual proper ratios and that kind of thing. But I just wanted to be real about how I actually do it. Like I never really do it like that. So this is how I actually do it. So yeah, I wanted to share that. So anyways, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.